Hello, it is I, the alcoholic audio engineer, coming to you once again after a bit of a hiatus from lovely scenic Paju City, South Korea. Uh, First off, I want to thank some of you out there who have recently left some very kind and much appreciated comments. Um, I, there's no words that I have that can convey how much I appreciate those comments. Um, so thank you. I feel like I actually have somebody to talk to when I do this, and that's a very nice and very salutary feeling indeed. So yeah, I've taken a bit of a break from doing these videos, partially because I just kind of got a little bit discouraged at the lack of response, but that wasn't the main thing. It's also like the tail end of summer. The dog days here come in August. It's just like a sauna outside. It's not even that hot on the Fahrenheit scale or the centigrade scale. It's not even that hot compared to what I came up with like in Oklahoma and South Carolina in terms of humid heat. But it does get kind of oppressive. You don't want to do too much after a while. So, anyways, and that gorilla in the corner of the room mix was just kicking my butt. But it's finally finished. It had to come to an end at some point. I made the video. I'm going to be uploading the video this evening if I have the jam. I pulled an all-nighter last night because I was really hot on the trail of something really good. And I'm glad I saw it through because what I came up with was very special indeed. And I'm not going to post it yet because I need to get permission from someone to use their intellectual property in that video. And he's pretty famous and I think not that easy to get a hold of. So anyway, I thought, all-nighter, been up all morning and into the mid-afternoon now, and I can't sleep. I've got to work here pretty soon. But the comments kind of bolstered me, and I thought, why not do a quick video on microphones? I had kept intending to do a video on microphones. If you're just getting into this hobby, pastime, therapy, whatever it is or is going to be to you, you're going to need a USB microphone at minimum. I mean, as well, in addition to a computer. That's probably the only monetary investment you're going to have to make to get started. All the software that you need is free, as I've said many times. So, but I know that for some people, depending on circumstances, even though USB microphones are not terribly expensive these days, even something that's not terribly expensive to a lot of people might be expensive to you right now. And I respect that. I understand it. I've always been tight on money. And for a long time, part of that was because I spent so much money on booze. But lately I haven't had that excuse, but I've still been tight on money because there's always something, But so this is a tale of two microphones, okay? So first, if you've been following this channel, you might recognize this guy right here. This is a Korean microphone. It's not sold in the States or in any other country that I know of. Here's the box. It's the Titan Studio Pro. And I lucked out and I found it on closeout. They were getting, the company was discontinuing the model. And I bought up the last two that they had in the store. And I got them for about $10 a piece. They were marked down from about, I don't know, I think they were originally between $55 and $60 US each. And I lucked out and I got them for about $10 each. And one of them I sent to my younger brother in the States, who's also trying to get into this this groove here. And so this really did me in a pinch. Now, this was my first, when I got back into this recording thing after a long hiatus, and I got back into it to give myself something to do at night to keep myself away from booze, and it worked. And at the time, I had an old USB microphone, over 15 years old, but I took it out and it didn't work. And I suspect that it was the USB jack. It was the first generation thing. It was when USB microphones were first coming out. It was an old one. And I was trying to source a replacement USB jack, and that was a pain in the ass. And then I lucked on this one, and it served me really, really well. It has no, all it has is, so it obviously has the USB out. It has a headphone out. It has an output volume that also controls the system volume windows, the output volume. No input gain control on this microphone. And that can be a blessing sometimes, as I've learned, because recently I have gotten this microphone right here, which is one of the most popular budget. It's considered a budget USB mic. It's not considered terribly high end. Good all around podcasting, multimedia, and yes, it's also some tout it for recording music. Some say that it's not ideal for that. And now that I've had some experience with it, I'm starting to tend to agree. And I'm going to get into that. But first, the reason I got this one is that, you might remember that my studio was in a really tiny bedroom, and now I've moved it into a much larger bedroom that was being used for something else before, and this room got freed up. It was a classroom for our school. We teach English to mostly elementary school kids, a few middle school kids. But the way the economy is going, I'm kind of reading the wind, and I think the way things are going to go is that I'm going to be trying to get more younger kids, like a kindergarten and younger, for English sing-along classes. Just simple little songs, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and How's the Weather, and This Old Man, and Do Re Mi, and Mary Had a Little Lamb, and so I've got like my songs all mixed up with the kids' songs over here on the sheet music stand, and so I have set this up as a classroom for little kids to kind of learn English through sing-song and music. But I've also made good and sure that it's my studio at night, especially. It doesn't bother the long-suffering missus. I'm all the way on the other end of the abode, and so as long as I don't bang around too loud, I can do pretty much whatever I want at night. So this is it. I got my old, what remains of my old pedal board out. It's just got 5 pedals on it now. I'll talk about that another time. My audio interface, this old Line 6 synthesizer modeler, the purple dragon, I call it. It's actually more of a goblin, purple goblin. I used it recently on that song that I did called Maybe I'm Cursed. I used it on the guitar solos. And I'll talk about that later when I talk about that mix. So anyway, this is the new studio. Oh, Behringer speaker cabinet, acoustic image, Claris acoustic image, Class D switching amplifier over here. Much favored by Stanley Clark and the like back in the day. And so that's where I'm at. But now back to this this blue Yeti, YETI, blue Yeti. It's a very popular mic around the world. It's very, very heavy, durable. I mean, it weighs a ton. That's one really nice thing that I like about it. I mean, with the stand included, it must weigh a good, I don't know, 2.5, 3 kilos. But that's not the main reason I got it. Well, the main reason I got it, I couldn't even afford it. The regular price for it in the store here was about 150 US, and I didn't have that at the time. But similar to this microphone, I lucked into a closeout. They're discontinuing it for the Yeti X, right? Which actually I prefer this one to the fancier one. I would have chosen this one anyway, but I got this one I got really, really lucky. I picked it up for about $50 US. And the reason I needed it is because doing these classes with these little kids sing-along stuff, you can't see the area out here, but they're going to be sitting on the floor out here. And I want to be able to record the sing-along sessions so that I can just do a little touch-up on the audio and, send the recordings to their moms so they can share it with the dad and grandma and grandpa and all that. And in order to do that, this presented some challenges because another feature that this microphone lacks is it has only one pickup pattern. It's a cardioid pickup pattern, which is I've explained before. It's a heart-shaped pickup pattern. The heart looks like this, right? So it picks up pretty much everything in the front, a bit out to the side, and a tiny bit behind. It's a heart-shaped pickup pattern, and that's it. This blue Yeti has it has 4 pickup patterns. There's a switch on the back. I'll show it on this this black, so not very easy to see the knobs. There's an input gain knob right here, and right there. There's the input gain knob, and then there's you're probably not hearing me very well. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch it to omnidirectional because right now it's in cardioid, right? So when I turn it this way, you're not hearing me very well. Now I'm going to switch it to omnidirectional, and you should be able to hear me much more clearly. No, that's stereo. Hang on. There's omnidirectional. Now you should be able to hear me pretty much equally clearly no matter which way I rotate it. That's because the pickup pattern is now omnidirectional. It's supposed to be picking up sounds equally clearly from all directions. And so I kind of needed that feature for some recording situations with the kids. I'd like to be able just to put the mic up here, maybe up on top of the speaker, just to get the sound of the room, just to get the general room sound and everything kind of equally getting picked up. It also has a stereo pattern, which you can see if you're listening through stereo headphones and I'm rotating the microphone back and forth this way, and I'm clipping. I should be careful about. Sorry, but you should be able to detect that. You should hear some panning. The signal of my voice kind of like getting louder and softer in the right and left ears, respectively. This is good for acoustic instruments. It can be good for vocals. A lot of people really don't like the stereo setting on this microphone. I think it's quite good for acoustic guitar. I've used it for backup vocals. For main vocal, I do prefer the cardioid. The last one that it has, which I could also use for these classes, is it has a bidirectional feature, which will sound like this. So now I'm behind the microphone, and you should be hearing my voice pretty clearly. And then now it's on the side. You should not be hearing it as clearly. And now I'm facing into the front of the microphone. It should sound clearer. This is good for like interviews where you got someone in front of the mic, someone behind the mic. In this case, I could set up the mic between myself and the kids on a stand or something. So I needed the. I'm going to go ahead and put it back on Omni. I needed those options, and so. Well, I don't consider that I got lucky. I consider that I got help from above sourcing both of these microphones because it's a story, but I didn't have the money for this microphone, but the little voice told me to take the money that I had, put it in my wallet, and go to a certain store and just do it. And I did, and there it was. And I had the money for it, and I still had enough left over to get me to my next payday. So now I've got two microphones. And so there's the point of this video. Now I can kind of like speak from experience on microphone selection. Here's a cool thing that I have to report about it. So I've got an Omni now, so I can kind of like, I can move around the room a little bit and always be, I'm going to kind of get out of my chair. So I won't get out of my chair. I won't fit the camera anymore. But so here's the box for the blue Yeti. Okay. And it's called the Yeti because the stand that it comes with, it kind of looks like a little abominable snowman squatting in the snow. It's cool. It's a cool mic. Now, I'm going to kind of review them and give you my take. Obviously, this was the cheaper one. Okay, it's much more lightweight. It has a lot fewer features. But now here's a really important distinction. Okay, probably the number one distinction is the input gain. But I'm going to talk about that next. First, I'm going to talk about the specs. All right, so if you start looking into the specs of these microphones, you'll notice that. Okay, I'm not going to do the screen today, but you'll notice things like some of them are 96 kilohertz, 24 bits, and others are like 48 kilohertz and 16 bits. And that's kind of a learning curve, a rabbit hole you can go down. It's really for hobbyist home recording, it's really not that important at the end of the day. For certain things that you might, as you get more accomplished and more advanced and more skilled, and as you get to know more and more what you're doing, there are cases in which there are certain tools you might be using where it's optimal to do your recordings and your mixing in 96 kilohertz, 24-bit. That takes a lot more, it takes twice as much disk space as 48. It eats up your hard drive a lot. And like here's the long and short of it, really. Especially if you're just starting out. CD quality it's been this forever. It's been this way as far as I know since CDs first came out. So especially if you're older from the pre MP3 generation, if you remember when CDs came out or you were born into that era, you're used to CD quality. And CD quality is 44,100 hertz. It's 44.1 kilohertz, 16-bit. That's what everybody's used to. And if you're used to MP3s, I mean, for the most part, you're not going to know the difference. 44 for most intents and purposes, 44.1K, 16-bit is it exceeds the human range of hearing, and it's good enough. There's a lot of history and there's a lot of technical stuff. You can really go down rabbit holes reading about it. It gets very technical, but the long and short of it is, if you're shopping for a microphone and you're stressing out about, is it 96K 24-bit, is it 48K 16-bit? Don't worry about that. That's my advice, especially if you're just starting out, especially if you're on a budget. Don't be too particular. Anything above 44.1K 16-bit, you're going to be happy as a clam, and that's a very good, valuable learning curve, actually, to have a microphone that's not that great, because then you're going to learn how to make it sound better. It's kind of like if you have a guitar that doesn't sound that great, like I do. This guitar, I love it. I love the way it plays. I love it for sentimental reasons. It doesn't have much low end. It is what it is. But there are things that I can do with the tools that I have to make it sound nicer than it really is. And the same is true of microphones. So that's the first thing. Now, I'll also say that, okay, so let me talk about the input gain a little bit. If the only mic you can afford, if the mic that's most available to you doesn't have input gain, if it's something really basic and simple like this, okay, see the back of it, right? It's got the USB out. Let me see if I get it as close as possible. Got the USB out, Type-C USB out. It's got the headphone jack, and it's got a volume knob. And the button is for mute, right? And that's it. That's the whole microphone. And if you're just beginning and just starting out, that's fine. That's a fine thing. There's nothing wrong with that at all. This is the first USB mic I ever had that has an input gain. Input gain means that I can control the sensitivity of the mic from the microphone itself, within the circuitry of the microphone itself. I can make it actually way too loud. It took me several days to figure it out. It was actually quite frustrating. I had to get the input gain knob to a certain sweet spot where I don't touch it anymore. I leave it at that position, and I know where to set the input gain in Windows, and I know where to set it in Cakewalk. Okay, so there's kind of like three different stages of gain. The, the output from the microphone, that gain stage, how much I'm letting in through the front end of windows, and then behind that there's how much cakewalk is letting through. Okay, so I figured that out, but it was a learning curve, and it was frustrating, to be quite honest. Now, so don't worry about bells and whistles at first. I was very, very happy with this microphone. And here's the thing, I still am very, very happy with this microphone. At first I was thinking, well, this will be my backup now. But that's actually not the case. I don't consider it just my backup microphone. I consider it, a tool in my toolkit that is different from this tool in the toolkit. Now, in terms of tracking vocals and acoustic guitar for that matter, this is the cheaper mic. It's more basic, no bells and whistles. This one is 96K, 24-bit. This Blue Yeti here is 48K, 16-bit. I didn't hesitate when I saw that. I got it without hesitation, okay? And I'm not saying that that is what's making a difference in sound. I'm not saying that that is what's affecting my preference. I don't know that that's a factor. I will say that in terms of sort of ease of usability, that's awkward. Yeah, ease of use. This microphone is easier, not only because it's simpler, but because it's smoother. Now that may be because it's higher spec. I'm not sure. This one, the Blue Yeti is more clear in the sense that it cuts through the mix like not only like a knife, but like a steak knife. All right. Now that it's a double-edged sword, pun intended. Because what I did was right after I got this and figured out how to use it, I used it to retrack some vocals in mixes that were not cutting through anymore. Vocals, for example, in Gorilla that I originally tracked on this mic, they weren't cutting through. The mix had gotten too big, and I couldn't turn the vocal track up any louder. I couldn't compress it anymore. There's nothing more I could do with it. And I decided to try retracking with the Blue Yeti. I did. Did it work? Yes. And I could venture to say that it worked too well, in the sense that, often I do this all the time. I do a new mix, I tweak a mix, and then I mix it down, I put it on my phone. The long suffering Mrs. and I get in the car to go somewhere, and I road test it in the car. Now, there's a good story there that I'll tell when I come back and I upload the Gorilla video, and then I go in and I talk about the final mix. Okay, I'll tell that story then. But one thing that we both noticed is that when we went in the car with the new vocals, new Gorilla vocals that I tracked with the Blue Yeti, we both said the same thing. God, it's too clear. It's too clear. It's an odd thing to say, but it was true. Um, it was clear to the point of being grating. All right, and so there are measures that I've taken to address that. Um, it has a clarity that is a bit harshly digital, I would say. It's got a kind of iciness to it, a frostiness to it. And so I found some new tools that I'll be talking about. Wonderful, wonderful tools that are available for free from a guy who's a bit of a mad genius, but also a really wonderful, wonderful soul who has gifted the world with his life's work. Uh, Audio tools that are really out of the box and extremely, extremely useful. And I'll be talking about those when I talk about these mixes. But I've used some of his tools in order to smooth out this microphone, to tame it, as it were. Now, once I take those measures and I tame the harsh edges around this microphone, I do get, at the end, I get a stronger, clearer, more a signal that does cut through a heavy mix with more clarity, okay, than this one. But this one sounds nicer. And so going forward, it's like this. If I'm going to be doing a mix, which I plan to be doing soon, I'm kind of tired of big mixes right now. I'm kind of burnt out on big mixes, and I'm in the mood to do some very sparse mixes. I'm talking like 6, 7, 8 or 9 tracks max, which is quite sparse for me. Maybe as few as like 3, 4, or 5. And for that, I'm going to be using this one. It's the hands down winner for that situation, right? So here's the takeaway. It's perfectly possible to get a very nice sounding mic. It's perfectly useful and serviceable for you, especially if you're just starting out and need something to get started with. Don't get all worked up about the technical details. As long as it's plug and play, it's USB. Read the reviews, read what people have to say about it. And some brands are better than others, obviously. Anyone can easily get on the internet and poke around. Just go to Amazon, type in USB microphone, and you can size up things that are popular, things that are not, and why. But your first microphone, your first USB microphone, just get the most decent thing you can for the price point that you can afford and have fun with it. Don't get stressed out about your first microphone. It should be a thing of joy and wonder. You should feel like it should make you feel like a kid again. And you shouldn't let anybody rain on that parade at all. So that's what I have to say about picking your first USB microphone if you're shopping for one, if you're in the market for one. And as usual, I've probably gone on way too long, but it is long format. This is the way I do things. And so it is what it is. But it's good news. It's a positive message. And I'm really happy with both of these microphones for different reasons. And I'm glad that I have them both. So that's my take on buying a microphone, especially if it's your first USB microphone. And I think that's enough for now. So I'm going to sign off. I need to go to work for a little bit here. And then it'll be dinner time. And then after that, if I don't just crash and burn, I'm going to upload the gorilla in the corner of the room video. And if I have more jam beyond that, I'm going to fire up the cakewalk and open up the final mix. It's probably going to take more than one video to kind of do a mix roundup or wrap up or whatever. I went through a lot with that mix. It got to the point where it was just, even if without the swampy summer heat and other things going on, it just would have been too tedious to do videos about it. It was just, it was bonkers, actually. It was bonkers. And, you know, a lot of that had to do with like psychoacoustics, which I'm going to be also talking about. That's also an important thing to be cognizant of, especially when you really get into this and I tend to overwork, and that can be actually counterproductive and detrimental if you don't take things like psychoacoustics into account. That can cause you to make a lot of poor decisions, and it can color your judgment in negative ways. And that certainly was the case with me on this gorilla mix. But at the end of it, I'm pretty happy with it. It started from the DIY thing, and next, I think I'm still pretty sure we're going to go into "Won't Back Down" by Tom Petty. It's a great thing to have on your addiction cessation soundtrack. And so we're going to go back to our DIY thing, although I think in this case I am going to be using the audio interface. I'm going to allow that in. I'm still going to make it as DIY as possible so that, you know, show that you can do this without an audio interface, but I'm going to be using it because it is something that you should look at once you've got your microphone, your USB microphone, because, you know, audio interfaces are not terribly expensive anymore either. You can get really good value these days for not too much money. So might as well start talking about it and things you can do with it, okay? So that's it for now. I hear children starting to come in the front door, and so I'm going to sign off. And again, thanks to everyone who commented. That was very kind of you. Really made my day, you know. It's really something. So thanks again, and I'll see you again soon on the flip side from lovely scenic. On the tail end of a typhoon, Paju City, South Korea. Over and out.